You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. Wole, Mo, and Glen are your hosts. The homie Ray Jeezy is out, but joining us as a guest is Adam Aniba from the Burgundy and Gold Report. What is good, Adam?
Hey, how's it going, man? It's a great day to be a fan, huh?
Sure is, man. I ain't gonna lie. I've been negative, but this is good news for me. I mean, I have, but this is good. Like, we'll get into it, but I didn't expect for it to happen this soon. I'll say this much.
I agree. I thought it was going to be like the John Allen situation, but yeah, they came out good on multiple angles.
Sure did. Hey, let's jump right into it. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also tweet us at ABG_everything and hit us up on IG at ABG_everything and like our All Burgundy and Gold Everything Facebook page. Don't forget to subscribe to our All Burgundy and Gold Everything YouTube channel as well. All right, Adam mentioned good news. We'll talk about Terry McLaurin signing a 3-year, $71 million contract extension. Let's get right into it. It's reported that McLaurin has a 3-year extension worth $23.3 million per year of new money. Adam, I'll start with you. Is this a fair deal for McLaurin?
Definitely, because I previously wrote about they would have to duplicate the contract for AJ Brown because I was looking at comparable numbers. Terry McLaurin, better durability. So I thought that's going to be where it is. But I guess what they did is that guaranteed money, that signing bonus was more than any other receiver, I guess. So I guess that put him over the top. But I think they did good annually. It's pretty close. But as far as total money in the contract, man, they did great. 2026, he'll be an unrestricted free agent, but man, that's a lot of time between then and now. So as 2-3 years, what I was hoping, and I think they did great. And to have him play this year under this contract, I was surprised. I thought it would start immediately. So to have that deferred to start next year, I think they came out really well with this.
And Glenn, you were talking about that too, in terms of the signing bonus. You want to talk about that right now in terms of
the signing bonus I think was huge because you get that up front, and as Adam just said, he still plays on this year's contract, right? He's still on this year's contract that to ride it out. He gets the $28 million signing bonus, so that means he gets that kind of instantaneously. So he upfront money, and also it's 76% of this contract is guaranteed to him, whether her injury, whatever case may be, and with that 4th-year option. So he's basically getting 4 years out of this contract. The 1 year that he has to do under the old contract, the money that he gets, and then 3 new years at $71 million. Both parties, in my opinion, got out very well in this contract because he is in the top 5 of receivers when it comes to money, right? Uh-huh. He is in top 5, so puts him in the top 5 echelons. He didn't get Cooper Kupp money, but again, he's not a super. But what I'm saying, he's not. But again, he's got to realize he's not a Super Bowl champion, right? They haven't won a playoff game with him. He is a Pro Bowler, right? So therefore, to me, being in the top 5 is justifiable with this contract. I think Washington Commanders actually sealed the deal and did a good job with Terry McLaurin. And as I mentioned on a previous podcast, people can go back and listen. I told everyone that he would be in before camp because training camp was a thing. He likes the Washington organization. He wants to work with his team, and there was no reason for anybody to worry about OTAs, mini camp, and nothing like that. You would have to start worrying if he didn't show up for training camp.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is he a Pro Bowler, Mo? Was he a Pro Bowler, guys?
He's not exactly a Pro Bowler, but we should have been in the Pro Bowl.
No. What's a Pro Bowl anymore? Like, what's a Pro Bowl? Like, that's about to be.
Hold up. I believe he's a Pro Bowler. Somebody got hurt. He was named to the list.
Oh, okay.
Somebody made Super Bowl. Okay. So he became a Pro Bowl. He was alternate, and someone didn't go or didn't play.
Okay. I believe I was trying to remember. To me, he's a Pro Bowler. I'm not. Look. To me, he's a Pro Bowler. I'm not even. He's that type of dude.
No. But technically, he's a Pro Bowler because he was named to the Pro Bowl team.
It wouldn't even matter. Pro Bowler. This not back in the day. Pro Bowls ain't like it was back in the day. Mo, you next, bro. You on tap.
I mean, I think it's a win-win. You talking about? I like it from the individual standpoint. I think he bet on himself with a shorter deal than what the money warranted over a longer extension. I think that he gives himself another chance to be a free agent in that 4th year, after that 4th year. And as we know, with the upfront money, some of that, when he gets to that last year, they're going to have to renegotiate and he'll probably be in an advantageous situation. The team will probably be in a better place to accommodate whatever the value is for a receiver at that time. I like the fact that he gets money up front for just signing the deal. So it's as if he's getting paid this year from that deal, and it spreads the money out. I think that gives the team a lot of flexibility. I think that's the give and take that he got there. Being a 3-year star on this team that was a 4th rounder, making hundreds of thousands compared to a $28 million check landing in your account at one time. I think he came out on top there. And it just shows, it rewards him for all his earnest work, right? Like he's been the face of a franchise that's been under some criticism and had some turmoil over the last couple of years that can't quite seem to get things figured out. It's always something in the press, and he's always been good press. So I think good things happen to good people. I'm ready to see him play without any worry now, and not having to worry about his future, and see how where he can take his game now.
Yeah, definitely. He's third rounder, Mo. Third rounder. Make sure, you know what I'm saying. You said
Is he a
fourth
third
or
rounder?
Yeah, third rounder. He's a third rounder. So make sure. I got your back. No, I got Wikipedia, bro. I had to make sure. I was on the phone for a reason. I was trying to make sure. I was like, yeah, I think it's third rounder. Yeah. I think that McLaurin McLaurin to me did Washington a big favor. I thought he had a lot of leverage. You know what I'm saying? Especially how long Washington waited. You had all these dudes getting deals, and to do a 3-year and just what all the stuff Mo was talking about, like the negative publicity, you know, him being this stand-up guy, like, you know, like to me, Washington needed McLaurin more than McLaurin needed Washington. I mean, just keep it a buck. Like to me, especially everything he represents as a football player, he doesn't complain. He just does the job. You gave him BS quarterbacks. He still made it rock. You know what I mean? Like he did all of this and didn't complain. When we look at the plethora of wide receivers, we deem wide receivers as divas. And when they don't have a dude to throw him the rock like that, what's the first thing you hear? You hear some chattering to the media about, yo, I can't play with this dude, or, you know, subliminal shots. McLaurin didn't do any of that. And he had all the right to do that and did not. So to me, like to get this dude in the building for 3 years, 71, it's an extension. I think you win. Like Washington, you're winning because you got a dude that's not just a player on the field that puts it all out there, but off the field, man, he's just a captain. When you look at him, you see a captain, you see a leader. Just you don't got to be the rah-rah talk guy, but just the way he holds himself and plays that position and just plays football, period. He's just that guy. So I think this is a big win for Washington. I think all fans should be ecstatic for this move, for this signing. You know what I mean? Like I heard some people like overpaid or just throw that out the window, bro. Like again, look at the quarterbacks this man had to deal with. Like if this dude had an Aaron Rodgers, do you think his numbers would be the same? No, they would be all world numbers if he had an A-Rod. You know what I'm saying? Like, so understand what you have. There's a reason why the Chad Johnsons, the Chris Carters of the world, they talk about this dude so brightly, like, and he hasn't put himself out there to get that attention. There's a reason why they have broken this dude down, because he is a master in the sweet science of running routes and doing this thing in a football field. So he is that guy. Now you just hope that he has a throwing mate with him that can give him that rock, that can do what he needs to do to give him the numbers that he needs to put himself on that list of, instead of saying he's a top 10 wide receiver, that's the argument debate, being in that short list, because that's all he's missing is that dude who can throw in the rock to put him on that list. So I'm happy for the dude, man. I really am. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, again, this kind of quiets the storm for, you know, Washington fans about, like Glen said, about, you know, Scary going elsewhere or he not signing, this is done. Like we done with that drama. We here now. So it's all good. But I mentioned, like, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna start with you. Glenn. In terms of the fan base, man, like, does this kind of quiet the noise in terms of the outside noise, and not just for Scary, but all the negative publicity? Does this kind of bring a jovial, upbeat tempo to the fan base?
Yeah, today I think when Adam came on, he mentioned that this is a great day for the Washington Commander fan base, right? You know, all the things that happened in the past week, people dying, Ron Rivera coming out with letters, you know, apologizing, the Jack Del Rio situation a couple of weeks ago. This is what this organization needed. Okay, we have secured all right, we have right now, we have 2 receivers that we know that can go play, right? We have Terry McLaurin, we got Dodson, that can play football, right? I know he's a rookie, but we're hearing great things. We're hearing great things. So now in training camp, we get to see both these guys on the field together, right? So if you're a fan base, all the noise you heard prior to today was, we got one receiver who was good, but you wasn't 100% sure about Terry McLaurin. Now you have 2 guys plus the tight ends they brought in a new quarterback who can throw more than 25, 30 yards, right, on a dot. And so now you get a little bit excited about this. I'm not going to say a person's name that can do things that can open up the offense. We're going to leave that name alone, right? But again, you don't have to change what you're doing because you were planning for Terry McLaurin. And I think the fan base should be happy. Now, my happiness as a fan base is filling out FedEx Field. So we can see if the fan base that happy or this fan base is going to wait and see what happens with this team. But I think people word-wise is excited about the fact that Terry McLaurin signed a deal, and when training camp happens, he will be there for this Washington Commanders team.
Mo?
Question.
What do you think in terms of the fan base? Like, do you think the fan?
Oh, I think this is the same fan base we discussed last week that was saying that it might look better without him because of what they were hearing in t-shirts and shorts. So like,
kills me, man. My own fan base kills me at times.
Anybody that thought that this team would be better off without Terry is sadly mistaken. You're talking about a leader from day one. You're talking about an overachiever in terms of his draft status and where he's at now. You're talking about he's been the most pleasant surprise over the course of the past 3 years, right? I think we can say that he is the best player on the team, followed by John Allen and Montez Sweat, probably in that order. Probably in that order, right? So you're talking about a guy that shows versatility, plays on the outside despite his size, despite not being a giant, right? 6 foot, weighing about 210. You're talking about a tough dude. You're talking about a tough dude that doesn't miss many games. He's missed 3 games in 3 years. You know what I mean? He's missed 3 games in 3 years. He's fought through concussions. He puts his body on the line. He goes all out for every catch. He's trying to score every time he touches the ball. Like, his effort needed to be rewarded. His leadership needed to be rewarded. You're talking about a guy that got a C on his chest at an early age, and he carries himself that way, that demeanor. This fan base should be ecstatic at the fact that he's back and he's committed to this franchise, because a lot of signs are pointing that he should go opposite direction based off of all the things that come out in the news.
Definitely. Adam, Glenn mentioned Jahan Dotson. What is this going to do for him, knowing that you're going to have, 17 up in training camp? What's this going to do for him?
It's interesting. First, I wanted to say about that, I'm looking at the contract, is they're almost mirroring situations, because Jahan Dotson will come up on that final year in 2025, which is where Terry will come. So I think by then we'll get a good idea. You don't draft someone like that in the top 20 and say, okay, wide receiver 2 for his career. That's a guy you want to get to that wide receiver 1. So I think, it might be a little bullish, but I do think just what we've been hearing from Dotson in camp, just from what I've seen, they're very similar, Terry McLaurin and him. They're used to bad quarterback play. They're used to underthrown balls. They're just used to making spectacular plays and just, really doing a lot of damage, away from the ball. So I think that, everyone wants Samuel to really, rise up, but I think we're already seeing early signs of, don't count on him. But I do like what else they got there. But for right now, you have the base with those 2. I think you can do a lot of things. I think Dotson, you're just going to see him come out of the slot lot, because I think that's where he can really eat. And having McLaurin really eat up that attention on the outside, I think Dotson's going to see a lot of one-on-one coverage in that first part of the season until he really, makes defensive backs play, commit to being honest with him. But I think he's going to have a huge opportunity. Terry McLaurin, his face is going to be plastered everywhere starting tomorrow. Like, everything they pitch for the season, ticket holders, everything. We'll see if that's going to bring everyone out to the stadium. I do think it's going to make a big difference, but I think they got a lot of work to do before we're talking about any kind of like sellout games for Washington fans. At least they might sell out for opposing fans, but I think they have to do some winning first.
Mo, you got something to say?
I found it intriguing that Adam thought that Jahan is going to be playing a lot in the slot. And I thought it would be the opposite. I thought he'd be opposite the side of him on the backside of the offense, because you're still paying Curtis Samuel all that money. I think they have to see that, right? Unless Diami, I feel like if Diami emerges because of his ability, he's better suited to play outside. And I can see Jahan moving around, right? I can see Jahan moving around. But because Diami hasn't, I mean, we can't expect much out of Diami, can we? But like, Diami hasn't shown improve, and Curtis Samuel hasn't shown improve, but we know the money is attached to one guy. So money is going to trump ability, even though Wole hates that ideology. Right?
I do agree. I would agree with that if there wasn't pressure on somebody. I would agree with you. Like I would totally. I think there's some pressure on that said coach to play the best players. You got, if you messed up, you messed up. It's too late now. Now it's a point. It's year 3. I think we've all said that Ron. I don't think Ron getting fired if he had a bad year. I really don't. I think because of the team turmoil, I think he has some leeway. But in terms of fan base, there is that type of pressure, right? So this is year 3. In every situation, year 3 is supposed to be the year that you show real progression. So Ron is in a situation where if Diami looks good in camp, then Diami is going to get burned. If Curtis Samuels is who I think he is, not that I'm not throwing anybody else under the bus, then I think the best player will emerge. Let's put it that way. The better player will emerge.
I think
Curtis Samuel makes it easy for us. I think he'll get something like that. But I do think if everybody's healthy, they're going to trot him out there first because that price tag.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because they got to make sure that the third year.
Even Candy came on the show last week and said that he was already banged up. So, it is what it is.
But if he's healthy
in the slot in camp, I don't think they're gonna just say, okay, Dotson's been lighting it up, because he has. Everyone's just saying, just with drills, he's looking great, and it's not a given. But what I guess I should have clarified with the slot is it's not plug and play and that's it. I could see him, Samuel, going in and out with that. I see a lot of rotation going on, just like we saw with the defensive line. I think with the receivers, you're going to see a hell of a lot of rotation, because even Dax Milne, they're going to get him in if he makes the team. But with Cam Sims, talk about De'Ami Brown on the outside. Those are the two I'm looking for, the outside, and McLaurin. Just from everything I've seen John Dotson, I don't think outside is the best way to utilize him. If you see all the damage he does, it's coming out of the slot. So I think they'll have to be creative. If Samuels does get healthy, I think you'll see a lot of, mixing it up, getting him in motion, getting him away from the ball. Will that be from the slot? I don't know. I think that's where it comes in. I would say Scott Turner has to be
better. You're right. I would say.
But
he said the dreaded name.
I don't know.
Don't know how you can.
Don't say it 2 more times. Don't say it 2 more times. You'll awaken the boogie monster.
You don't do it.
I agree.
He's a good
I agree with you guys.
Coach, but good offensive coordinator. I'd be cool to have North Turner, to be honest with you.
Say what you say, Glenn?
I agree with you, but I think you may see more in this offense going 4 wide to try to get all of them on the field at the same time, and we'll put defenses in a box in a jam with a tight end, which we know Carson Wentz likes to go to a tight end. So that means you force the defense to play man coverage before when you got 4 receivers along with a tight end, and then you've got a running back, or you put J.D. McKissic in to get him out wide. So I think the Turner guy can do a lot of things with these 4 guys on the field at the same time with a J.D. McKissic, because they have become a nightmare for a linebacker. Either one of these guys become a nightmare for a linebacker, whether in the slot or in the backfield with Curtis Samuel or J.D. McKissic. A linebacker can't keep up with them in space and speed. So he has a lot of opportunity and ability, and if he's creative with this offense, because he said he want to open it up. So open it up with these 4 receivers, because everyone we named has to earn their money, right? You gave Cam Sims money. You gave Terry McLaurin money, right? De'Ami Brown is still on the team, right? Curtis Samuel got money, right? You gave he's a rookie. Y'all just mentioned you draft a rookie high in the first round. You expect him to be a superstar, right? So everybody got money that we named, and everybody has to show up this year to solidify the fact that this Washington organization gave them bread. And it becomes the job of the coordinator to make sure there's enough ball to throw around and enough time for people to get the football. And everyone has to step up and play.
The job of the coordinators do whatever is best for your team to win a football game offensively. So I'm just hoping that he does what's best for this team to win. I knew to win football games. I know he's going to open it up. He tried to open it up when he didn't have a quarterback. So I know he's going to try to open it up. You know what I mean? So it's just hoping that he does whatever the game dictates, that he does whatever that game dictates. If it dictates the goal, like you say, Glenn, go 4 wide, go 4 wide. If that game dictates to tote that rock and run the football with Gibson and Robinson, then do that. Like, you know what I mean? And spell McKissick, then do that. But I just hope that this, I'm gonna have me say this coordinator's name. I ain't gonna do it. But whatever, if it dictates that, then go that route. Hopefully it does, man. I'm with you. They got a lot of weapons. I think Diami's going to be fine. I just feel like the fan base is so hard on people. Like, it's a rookie, man. It was a rookie last year. This is year 2. It's going to be easy. It should be easier. Get confidence. He's got ability. We saw that in preseason last year in camp. He was the camp darling last year as a wide receiver. We all forget, like, that's why I don't like camp. I don't like camp talk. Because we all fall in love, and then the regular season happens, and something doesn't click. Some people get nervous or whatever. You're a rookie. It is what it is. The game's a little bit faster. You're going against a team that is now paid to take your neck off and be a cutthroat assassin, because they don't know you. They're not your friend. They don't practice with you. They're not going to take it easy on you. You know what I mean? There's more pressure in the game. So I feel like once you get used to it, Diami will be fine. He'll be a better quarterback, so he'll be fine. That's why I'm like, I've seen Jahan Dotson in college. I know he can ball. You know what I'm saying? He had limited quarterbacks. It's not like in Penn State. Penn State barely, the quarterbacks weren't the best. But the NFL is different. I'm doing it in practice against William Jackson, Kendall Fuller. It's different. I'm sorry. You gotta do it against Darius Slays of the world in your division. You gotta do it against individuals like that, where you're gonna see on Sundays where they're not gonna take it easy on you. If you're wearing a yellow shirt saying you can't be touched, they're not doing that. Like, they're gonna touch you, they're gonna grab you. The officials gonna be different. They're gonna have officials out there. They may allow them to do certain things. So you're gonna have to go through different adversity. So there's so many elements to say that, oh, I expect this guy to still ball out. He has ability, he has talent. Now it's all about him putting that on the field. You know what I'm saying? And he may have a learning curve like Diami had not to say it's going to be to the degree, but he may have some issues. I think for Diami's case, what's going to be good for him is that he experienced that, he learns from that, and now he's going to know what to expect going into season 2. Am I saying that he's going to have a complete turnaround and have an amazing season? I'm not saying all that, but I think you should expect Diami to be better next season.
And I'll say this, and I know like true Tar Heel fans have mentioned about Sam Howell being here, but I'm telling you, that's going to make a big difference for his career. Regardless if Sam Howell ever sees the field for Washington, having him there makes a huge difference, because you're talking about Diami Brown's best year was that last year that they were together, when he was basically a vertical threat, 2-3 route guys, mainly go route guy. So I think having him in the mix, studying together, that's going to give him the confidence to, go forward. But, we're talking about when we go into camp and then the preseason. To me, it's going to be Diami Brown and Cam Sims. I think that's going to be the matchup as far as the outside. And then on the other side, we're going to talk about the other guys. But I think that Diami Brown's going to have a huge opportunity to really blow up this year. But if you're Washington, you have the type of speed that you can send out a lot of go routes, and your tight ends and running backs can feast underneath. So if Turner can't get this right, man, I don't think that he lasts past after the season, because I think
that's 2. You said his name twice. All right, one more time, man. You close. You're close now. Now I'm about to see. This is why I blow up on 3. Not on you, Adam. I blow up on. I go all in on Scott Turner on 3. I said his name. That's 1 for me. I'm messing up. That's 1. All right, but I'm with you. I think that I think there's a lot of speed and there's a lot of young ability. You know what I mean? I do think that, like you said, there's so much that you can do underneath with this. Like, I think to me, this is the most speed out of the wide receiver position that this team's had in years.
Ever.
Like, in terms of complete speed, like just
Ever.
speed, speed.
They've had more.
Maybe ever. You're right. You're right.
We're
Ever.
talking about Monk, Sanders, and all them. They weren't speedsters, man.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Ever. Like, ever. I'm talking about complete speed in terms of a unit. You're right. Ever. You are correct.
Sean Jackson, man, hella hard to stop, but pure speed from
that's
running.
One person. That was just one person. Yeah, that was just one person. Like, but this is the most.
But wasn't D-Jack and Brandon Banks on the same team?
Nah, Brandon Banks was not on that team. He was like done before that. He was done. But I'm just talking about if you think about the names of 4,
1 through
4,
5,
3
1
speed.
through 5, they way faster.
Yeah, you got other than Cam Sims and the other kid that from was it BYU? Did he go to BYU? Maxim.
Oh, Dax Milne?
Yeah, Milne. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other than those two dudes, Cam Sims. You got like 4.3, 4.4 speed all around the board with those individuals. So
which means you just need to get them in space. Which means at this point you get them in space, as you mentioned earlier. You run them downfield, make sure the man-to-man coverage, clear everybody out, and you do your check down routes. You do your JD McKissick's. You do your
coordinator. Look at you.
Man, but you take advantage of the defense, and then one thing everyone speaks about Jahan, which is great, and which is the learning curve will be easier for him if he continue to run great routes, right? Because if you run great routes, you put everybody in a bind because you know where you're supposed to be at. And if Carson Wentz can trust him now, what needs to take place is, can Carson Wentz and Terry McLaurin build that chemistry they need to build in order for the season to go forward?
Yeah, I mean, and we'll talk about Carson Wentz and Scary, but real quick, like I just want to make this comparison with Jahan and McLaurin. If Jahan is what he is, it can be just like how McLaurin when he came into DC as a third round pick, and he was so impressive in terms of camp and everything else. It got to a point where, in terms of politics, and the most talking about politics, Jay Gruden at the time was like, screw that. He's going to be our number one off the bat. And he was like, screw politics. You know what I'm saying? By then they had their first round pick, still trying to figure out what they want to do. They're willing to cut actually the guy that, Adam and I, we joke around with, but Dotson, you know what I'm saying? Dotson, they was willing to cut Dotson basically because of like what McLaurin brought to the table. Like, all right, they said, we're done with you, young guy. We're done with you, first rounder. We're done. We got one. We're good. We don't need you. You know what I mean? So if Jahan is that good, I'm not saying cutting Samuel, but I'm saying that Samuel got worried.
they put themselves in a bind with, unlike with Dotson, they put themselves in a bind with Samuel because I'm looking at it's 7.2 next year, dead cap to release him. So I think no matter what, he's here until the 4 season, because then it's manageable. But I think they'll just and you know what they're going to do? They're going to manage the snap count through the whole year, and we're going to hate it. But the thing is, I think if everything goes as planned, we're not going to care because we're going to be focused on the receivers, the other tight ends. Logan Thomas, I think maybe week 2 he'll be back, but I think that they'll have enough to really get that going, before then. But this kid out of Nevada, I think I wrote about a little bit ago. Nobody's really talking about him, but he does one thing well. Man, he attacks the red zone and he goes up and get it. He's not much of another threat other than that right now. But I think when they have, that kind of safety blanket for Carson Wentz, I think you can just, like I said, man, just send these guys out wide, make the defense commit one-on-one. If they start, breaking off in zones and clouds, I think they're going to be able to eat inside. It's going to be fun, but again, it's kind of reminding me like the defense. It's like we got all excited with the talent, and it's like there can always be that letdown. But I think if you do look at the schedule, I think they do have some friendly situations where they're going to be able to expose the defense.
Yeah, it's all about the coordinator. So I mentioned Carson Wentz. McLaurin, they're combined now. They're here. They're together now. Do you feel that the chemistry is impacted? I'm starting with you, Mo, because of McLaurin's holding out, or do you think it'll be okay?
Absolutely not. I think that Terry McLaurin type of caliber wide receiver that erases a lot of mistakes, and I think that with this being the highest caliber quarterback that he's ever played with, I think it's a win-win for each side, right? I want to argue that this might be the best receiver that Carson Wentz has ever played with.
Oh, mate. Oh.
I think so.
Yeah, Jeremy Maclin. Yeah. Oh, no. Alshon was good. Alshon was good. That year, Alshon was really good. Alshon Jeffries was really good.
Alshon has
Bears and with Philly.
Jeffrey
he was good. He was real
Alshon Jeffrey hasn't been since he left the Bears, man. You guys, that's
the most overrated. Don't make me pull up them stats, bro. Don't make me pull up them stats. Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey was getting numbers in Chicago and in Philly.
In Chicago, as a number 2 receiver to Brandon Marshall, when they both had 1,400 yards plus in a system that couldn't make the playoffs. Okay, Alshon Jeffrey is not it. Okay, Alshon Jeffrey, you got to relax.
Alshon Jeffrey was a top rated wide receiver coming out of college.
Alshon Jeffrey has not had 1,000. Alshon Jeffrey has not had 1,000 yards since he left Chicago. Is what I'm telling you. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. He hasn't had 1,000 yards since he left Chicago. He had one great season. He had one great season with Brandon Marshall. Was on the opposite side for over 1,400 or something like that. And then he was so overrated after that. He was so. Don't get me wrong. Like when he was tasked to be the number 1, that's why Chicago had to get rid of him. Because they let Brandon Marshall go.
11 year, 2,000 yard season, 11 year, 2,000 yard season in Chicago. I feel you though. Go ahead,
I'm just saying, Brandon Marshall was on the opposite side, dictating the coverage. The same benefits you want for Jahan. You see what I'm saying? When you take the coverage or you have the responsibility, you're the alpha. And Terry's the alpha. Terry's just the alpha that's been on a struggling team. Terry's an alpha on a team that's had he's had 11 different quarterbacks throw him the ball.
Crazy.
He's had 11 different quarterbacks have thrown him the ball in a game.
And they call him over.
Who calls him overrated? Oh, you mean some of the individuals? Yeah, I know. I've seen it. I ignore those. Those are
you see what I'm saying? So when I look at a guy that has an improved quarterback play, he's also an improvement for his quarterback.
Right.
And the way his game meshes with Carson Wentz's best talent, which is breaking the pocket, getting the ball down the field. Like when he's at his best, he gets the ball down the field. I see a lot of big plays, especially with Jahan on the other side. I think Jahan is the beneficiary of this. I think Jahan's talents get to shine a little brighter because with the notoriety that Terry has and what everybody knows that he can do, when defenses shift over to him, where Heineke last year or Alex Smith the year before didn't have no one else to key in on, they can get off of him quickly and get to Jahan because he's capable. He's capable of winning one-on-one against a second or third corner, depending on where Terry is in the formation. This is a win-win for both of them. So I think that they just get a couple of reps going right before the season starts in this downtime, and they come to camp and they get the timing down. The line is improved, is in a better place, right? Leno's returning. Leno's returning. The center comes back.
Yeah,
right?
Comes back. They're healthier.
I mean, Cosme has another year of experience, right? And he wasn't awful last year.
No, Cosme was good. Cosme before rookie was good.
So he has another year of experience, and that gives Carson a little bit more time to do what he do, and Terry a little bit more time to get open. I see nothing but big things. I think Terry finally breaks the seal and gets into that 1,300-yard receiver type deal and proves that he was worth that 28. I mean, the 20 some odd millions that he's making.
13 should be. I mean, 13 should be easy for him. If Carson Wentz is even
who they say they is.
If Carson Wentz is closest to even closer than he was last year, put it that way. Because last year, I mean, I know a lot of people want to rap. I mean, I like Carson Wentz. I'm just a realist though. In terms,
I think Carson Wentz played on the team last year with Michael Pittman, and T.Y. was out for a majority of the year. So, and
I'm a realist when it comes to Carson Wentz because I feel like there's some I do acknowledge that it was easier in Indy because you had Jonathan Taylor. So I acknowledge that it's easier because their run game was so when you got that dude, and they really leaned on Jonathan Taylor more than anything, and they play action off of that. So I am a realist to know that in this situation, it's the dynamic is totally different because in this situation, can you arguably say that you're going to literally make Antonio Gibson and Robinson won't be the faces of this team? The faces of the team is going to be the receivers. That's just a fact. If you look at what the skill set is. In Indy, the face of the team, you can say whatever, was Jonathan Taylor. They was putting 8, 9 in the box. They were worried about, that's what the concern was. So here you're giving Carson Wentz more playmaking ability. So I do acknowledge that could be an issue. It could be. Like, I know a lot of fans don't want to hear it. And again, I am a Carson Wentz supporter. Like, I don't want I know that, to me, Carson Wentz is better than what they've had in the past. And I know I like Alex, but come on, now Carson's better than Alex. Heineke, you already know how I felt about Heineke. It is what it is. He's just that's just a nice guy. That's just a nice guy. You know what I'm saying?
This team has got to the point where it's increased its ability.
Yes, exactly. Because now people like Stephon, Diggs, Diggs can't say that he can check my man Terry McLaurin, because now when he's open, he will get the ball there.
On time.
Yes, on stride, not have to underthrow it and now look like this dude is strapping him when he's really not. So you know what I'm saying? So Carson's gonna bring a lot to the table for McLaurin. I just hope you get the real Carson. But Glenn, I think you want to say something.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you guys. I think they will start working the out tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? They will phone call probably has already been made, right? Wentz has already been talking to them. They've already been, talking and conversing about what we need to do as a team. Now it's just time to put it into play. I think, Mo was right. I think McLaurin will be about a 1,300-yard receiver. Jahan will benefit from it, but not just Jahan. Every receiver, the tight end is going to benefit from it. I think if you look at what Carson Wentz did with Zach Ertz when he was in Philly, you'll see the tight ends really numbers increase because of what Zach Ertz likes to go to. The offensive line has to hold up, and Antonio Gibson has to be able to run the football so we get some of the play action and deep down the field type stuff and hang on to the football. Right. And I said hang on to the football. You know how I feel about Antonio Gibson, dog. Look, if he played for me, he'd be on the bench. You can't phone that, bro. But anyway, but you got to be able to, and so if all those things come into play, you see Terry McLaurin and Carson Wentz get on the same page. And I don't have to worry about them. Both of them are smart guys. Both of them professionals. It's going to happen.
Adam, you something you want to add to that?
Yeah, and I think you don't draft a guy like Robinson as high as they did to say, okay, well, we're going to bring him in for insurance if Gibson, gets broke. I'm hoping that they're realizing, number one, this guy is still a work in progress at running back. Okay? Yes. Thus, all fumbles, the way he's carrying it, it's evident. I followed him forever. And I think that they got to get him involved in the receiving game just as much as they get him in the run games. It was like. But I think when you get Robinson in there, you're making a little honest, like north-south running, but he can break it outside. But man, if you can get McKissick staying healthy into this mix, I think you're absolutely dangerous. But as much as we want to see them air it out, I really think early on, and someone was like, yeah, I doubt it with all these receivers. I think you're going to see a big commitment to the run game because I hope they're going to want these defenses to play honest, because if you want to get this one-on-one coverage, you're going to have to make them commit to the run and really challenge us. So I think that, it's good. Roulier is a big one. A lot of people aren't really looking at that, but if you look across the board, I don't really have any confidence that anyone, playing that center position other than him. And I kind of felt that they might have looked somewhere. And, and I heard this today, this is a valuable thing that I think everyone should know is they're not done signing. They're going to sign a veteran or two, but these veterans, they're smart. They don't need to go to camp. They don't need to. So I think, probably towards the end of July, maybe beginning of August, you're going to see another linebacker brought in. I definitely think, you'll see a couple other positions brought in, maybe even a tight end, depending on what happens with Logan Thomas. But I do think that they're going to bring some guys in for that, just to get that competition. But man, right now, I like the direction they're heading. But again, it's if all of us were running the team. But again, we remember that guy with the, name T is running the offense. So I'm concerned until he shows me different, because he's just showed me a lot of lackadaisical play calling, and he's all over the place. So hopefully a commitment to the run will lead to, big plays downfield.
I was about to say his name too. When you said that commitment to the run, it's like I can only go off your resume. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. And your resume shows me that you don't like. That's not the way you want to rock. Like, he doesn't want to rock that way. It almost, when he did it, he was successful. To that, he did pretty well when he was committed to the run. But then he kind of was like, you know what? I'm doing okay. I can go back to throwing the football, and that led to a bad little streak. So I just feel like when the more toys you get, and now it enables you to feel like, you know what, I can prove a point that I can throw this rock and I can do what I want to do. And that's the thing. Like, some people want to prove that they're great, right? Like, instead of just worried about game planning for a football game, they want to prove to you that my offense is shiny. I can do this and I can do that. I pray that they just try to do what you said, Adam, like run the football, and get those one-on-one coverage, get those one-on-ones, try to run the football, establish that, and then, have the linebacker safeties come up on the box. And now you're able to do more in the passing game because now, now you've got the defense thinking, you know what I mean? So like as great as I know people talk about, but as great as the St. Louis Rams are, I mean, the LA Rams, excuse me, like they run the football. They run the football out of just to show you, all right, we're willing to run the football, and then boom, we'll hit you over the top. We'll do it from the same formation. You know what I mean? And you won't even know what's going on. So I just feel like hopefully, just like he's a young coordinator, hopefully he's learned over the last couple of years and he sees what works. But I mean, that's one dude I don't got faith in. I'm not gonna lie to anybody on here who's listening to the show. I have no faith in that dude. All right, so a lot of players when they get paid, when they get the bag, they content. They're not worried about getting better. Do you think that is that in Terry McLaurin's DNA? I'm gonna start with you, Adam.
No way. And that's why he's worth the money, because any other receiver that got all the big money contracts, to me, out of all of them, he's your face, he's your leader. And that's just not in his genetics. Like I said, we're talking about making players better. He made his teammate Ohio State Campbell look awesome, and he's really been in nothing in the NFL. So I think that giving him the money, I don't think it'll change the way he plays. I think he'll show the same kind of toughness. But you have to admit, though, we have seen that over time with players, and I be hard pressed to find one like Terry, but it does happen. So you know what I mean. Maybe he doesn't go for that sideline, throw his body backwards, the broken shoulder kind of catch. But no, I don't think that's in his DNA.
Yeah, I agree. Mo, what about you? You agree with Adam?
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. I just think that finality brings a little bit of like closure, right? And finality and closure just bring some comfortability. Like he's laid it all out for this franchise, and he's been rewarded handsomely, as he should. You do good should be done upon you. And I think that he's going to be a valiant soldier and for this team, as he's always been. I think now he gets to go out there and I really want to see this uptick in ability around him, this uptick in ability at quarterback, and what we know he can do. And now this burden lifted off his shoulder, what heights his game go to. I really like him. I really think that he's under targeted, and also has a terrible hand at quarterback over the course of his career, and he's made something out of it. And to be honest, he was the third and fourth receiver at Ohio State on a team, right? So I think he's exceeded every expectation of him, and I think that's why he gets so much respect around the league.
Yeah, he's a grindhouse type of individual, man. He really is. Hey, so Glenn, your thoughts? You feel like he got the bag? He gonna be good?
He gonna be good. Totally agree with everything everyone said. I think he's gonna go after the ball because, again, we mentioned and you mentioned he's the face of this franchise, right? When you're the face of the franchise, right, you go after that. You work hard, and this franchise fan base liked him because he worked hard. You don't stop because you get the bag, right? It doesn't stop, and it's not gonna stop with him because I think that's not his work ethic. That's not what he taught, and that's how he plays. So he's gonna get the bag. He's gonna go do what he needs to do, and this team is gonna be okay.
Yeah, man, I agree with everybody. I think to me, he's just that type of dude that money's not just gonna make him content. It's gonna make him better. I feel like he's gonna try to prove to the league that I'm worth every cent of this. So all the naysayers out there who's even saying like, why he getting this money? He's gonna probably be like, I'm gonna show you why I'm getting this money. Like I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna show you why. You know what I mean? Like I have a quarterback now. I got somebody who can throw me the football. Oh, I'm gonna show you who I am. Like all those little top 100 lists, I'm not on there. Like I'm gonna show you why I should be up there with your favorite wide receiver, because your favorite wide receiver adores my game. Like I feel like he's at that level where like this money is gonna put him on there. It's going to definitely put him on there.
I think it's safe to say if Carson Wentz is what we think he is, or anything of what we think he is, I think Terry's a bona fide Pro Bowler. Yes. I think Terry's I think I'm in the minority, but I think Terry's already a top 20 wide receiver in the league. I'm not
Oh, I
just
think
talking
so too.
statistically.
I think
I'm
so
not
too.
just talking statistically. I think he's a top 20 wide receiver. I jumped out there a lot earlier last year. I don't have the stats to prove it because he hasn't produced the stats to prove that he's closer to top 10 than most people think, if you ask
Yeah.
me. But
I feel
you
like
know,
you give him a
I think after
quarterback.
this season, he starts to get himself in that conversation, like close to, that at least that top 15 where he's interchangeable from 11 to 15
I mean,
and whatnot. Because
we all know.
I think people like DK, I'm sorry, because I think people like DK get too much credit. I think people like DK Metcalf gets too much credit because of the ability that he has, right?
Yeah.
And you look at the output, and it's like he's had 2 years he's had one big year.
Yes.
And he had 2 years where he left you waiting, wondering, like, he left a lot of meat on the bone, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, I think AJ Brown is another one. I think AJ Brown, even though he got paid, and he has a Pro Bowl nod, I think AJ Brown has helped a lot. It's hard to tell he's not helped a lot by Derrick Henry's presence on that field
There you go.
and the way that they can play action, right? The way that they can play action and get him open, even though he does do some incredible things after he touches the ball with his size and his stature. I think Terry does a lot of the same. And Terry has a lot of the same things in his game, and it just doesn't get on display the way it needs to. So
yeah, I want to jump on that. What you just said, because you said something real. You said a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of good points too. Is that like in all sports, but especially like in football, we use football, like, and especially wide receivers. There's situations where like wide receivers, especially for wide receivers, certain circumstances tend to play into your stats and what you do. And how people cover you, or how people check you, how anything happens. Like you mentioned Derrick Henry, you're getting a boatload of man one-on-one because of Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Because of Derrick Henry. Same thing I mentioned with Carson Wentz in terms of in Indy. Like it's easier with Jonathan Taylor because you are getting the coverages won't be as difficult because you're going to see a lot of man because people are worried about Jonathan Taylor. Quarterback play. I love what's the old boy now with the Raiders who was at with the Packers.
Adams,
Devontae Adams.
Huh?
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams. Thank you, Devontae Adams. I love Devontae Adams. I think he's the beast. Runs great routes. Amazing. Will his numbers be the same with Derek Carter like they were with Aaron Rodgers? Really? Will they? Probably not. Probably not. And not to say that I'm not knocking Devontae. Just saying it's different though. There's different levels to it. There's a reason why Randy Moss. I love Randy. To me, he's one of the best receivers I've seen, like in terms of skill sets. Randy Moss in Oakland was with Terry Collins.
Yeah.
Everyone said he was done. Done. Goes with Brady, shatters records again. So everything dictates it. So for Terry, I feel like because he played with less and still able to get you 1,000 yards, because he's playing with a quarterback with one leg, because he played with a quarterback with no arm, like, and he still was able to,
he's seen so many types of quarterbacks.
Yes, so many types of quarterbacks, and still was able to put numbers.
These guys, it takes some of these 10 years to really get the experience, and that's one thing that's really not talked about him is he knows the cues, he knows the tells, like he's learning the mistakes, the underthrows. This is going to be the first time in his career he's probably going to have opportunities to be overthrown. Yes. So that's totally a ball game. So I think that alone is going to motivate him, because this guy just wants to make big splash plays. He wants to go deep, and I think if you can really get that going, and to me, there's no reason Carson Wentz can't. That's what's going to be, I think, the theme is they're really going to just try to get the ball downfield. Yeah. And it's going to be what are teams going to do to stop it? And again, when you have a coordinator that really hasn't proven, that he can move pieces around, well, we'll see what happens. But again, this is the most confident I felt in this offense in a real long time. And I think Carson Wentz, everyone is focused on the situation of how he left Indianapolis. I think if it wasn't so bitter, I think same kind of issues, and also the previous back injuries, although it hasn't totally just, hurt his durability, when he did try to play through it, it was noticeable. So to me, out of everything, that's my concern with him. Will he hold up?
Yeah, that, and I just hope he didn't try to make the Superman play like all the time.
Oh God.
That's a part of his
Superman
nature.
plays what hurts him.
That's a part of his nature, brother. You got to take that as a
I know.
fan.
Believe me, I know. I just don't
You
need
gotta
that
take
one
that
where
as
you
a
just throw the
fan.
ball up and it's pray like when you're about to get sacked, just throw the ball up. Just throw the ball up. I just
I
don't
mean,
need that. I just don't need that. I'm cool with
I
like
think
the
that's
interception
overblown though. I think that is over. I think that really is overblown. I think that was overblown in Indy last year because of all he had to do was be safe and they would win, right? Because this guy, you're talking about a guy in Carson Wentz that has a great interception.
No, I know. I agree.
Interception ratio. You see what I'm saying? Like he's not one that just like he has like 4 seasons in his career, like less than 8 interceptions.
Yes, very good point, Mo. Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Like, I think
that Jacksonville game really does hinder. Like that Jacksonville game does loom large to a lot of people.
Even last year, he only had 7 interceptions.
Yeah, with that bad game. With that
bad game.
True. Very true.
That bad game. You know what I mean? Like the one outlier year was that one year where it all broke apart in Philly.
Yeah.
You know, where it all came apart. But like this guy, he might be reckless with his play, but he's not reckless with the ball.
Right.
He's not reckless with the ball. I think that's something that's overstated about him. I'm gonna give him at least a little bit of credit for that.
But that's why JD McKissick and the tight ends are big in this offense because he is not reckless with the ball. If he doesn't see it, he's not throwing it. He's checking it down. That's why his interception numbers are so low. That's why you need a healthy JD McKissick, you need a healthy Logan Thomas, or you need a really good backup tight ends to take some of that pressure off. Or you take a Curtis Samuel and put him in the backfield on third down and do something of that nature.
I think that point right there is a great one because Nyheim Hines made a lot of plays in the passing game.
Sure did, yeah.
Like Darren Sproles made a lot of plays in the passing game back when he was the Eagles. You know what I mean? Like all the makeshift running backs that they brought in while he had his tenure in Philly that could catch out the backfield, he would hit them. He would hit them. I remember Boston Scott catching a screen.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And like just taking it, but like so. He has an ability there, and this team is set up for him to be successful with all the speed around him, and especially when Logan comes back. Logan could be that ultimate safety valve for him, especially when the offense is putting pressure on the defense and getting people vertical and getting people out the way. And then you got, like you said, you got J.D. McKissick, who it's the best insurance out of the backfield that you can buy practically in the league, not named Alvin Kamara, right? Like so, like. It should everything lining up. It still has to be played on the field, as Wole will always say. But like when you look at it, man, it has the makings of it. Like maybe this regime is doing something. Well, they just say you need to see it.
Oh yeah, whatever. Hey, I'm just having McLaurin. I'm just having the scary Terry's under contract, man. I'm just excited about that. Hey, Adam, how can folks catch you on social media, and how can they catch your content?
Yeah, check me out at the B&G Report, lowercase r. And again, you can find my content, everything at the burgundyandgoldreport.com. Our show, B&G Report Happy Hour, we last filmed one right day 2 of the draft. And so I'm just taking the time to review all the undrafted guys. The draft have been putting out those. So we're going to start a pre-camp special. That's going to be coming out, our series on that. Again, follow us the Burgundy and Gold Report YouTube channel. It's B&G Report Happy Hour. And again, the burgundyandgoldreport.com is where you can find all of us.
Dope. Yeah, the plans to have Adam on next week too as well. So we can talk about one of these draft picks. I'm not gonna tell you who though, because y'all gotta watch. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't gonna tell y'all, but we got in the store for y'all. We got a plan. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search all Burgundy and Gold Errrything. Also tweet us at ABG_Errrything, and hit us up on IG at ABG_Errrything, and like our All Burgundy and Gold Errrything Facebook page. Hey, also again, make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Gold Errrything YouTube channel as well. Anyway, this has been a dope show. Appreciate Adam for being on. Always appreciate the homies Mo and Glen for being on the show. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold Errrything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia, 4 ages. You dig? Deuces. Hey, Mega, lead us out, big homie.